Okay, seat yourself onto your lift and then come into a good cross-leg position. And just observe your balance. Just feel that you're sitting evenly and with some perceivable levelness at the hips. Just hold on to your knees, lift up into the heart area. So this lift, I think we're all a little bit bleary-eyed this morning. So this lift is a really good way to open up your energy. So lift the heart area and broaden the shoulders. Just look down at the floor, look at something that doesn't move so that your eyes remain still in the sockets. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Listening to the breath. Keeping your eyes consciously still in the sockets. And then release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste. Press the palms firmly together. Lengthen from your armpits into your elbows into the heels of the hands. The heels of the hands into the fingertips. And then allow your eyes to gently close. Focus on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Acknowledging how the in-breath brings in fresh energy to the physical body. So with the heart area lifted, really consciously aim to fill the lungs consciously from the bottom to the top. And empty the lungs from the top to the bottom. Bring your chin forwards and down to make contact with the chest. Lift your chest up to meet the chin. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Just hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area. And then release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. And then as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Just hold on to your knees and again, elevate the heart area upwards, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation, and with the exhalation, draw your chin down to meet your chest, drawing the shoulders down away from your ears at the same time. Take a deep inhalation, and with the exhalation, drive the chin up to the ceiling, pushing the chin as high to the ceiling as you can. Lengthening out the front of the neck. Take a deep in breath with the out breath. Bring the chin down to meet your chest. And with an out breath, just raising the chin up to the ceiling. And then with an out breath, come back to the center. Take a deep inhalation. And then right ear over towards the right shoulder, just feeling that stretch of the left side of the neck. On an out breath, come back to the center and over to the left. On an out breath, back to the center and over to the right. On an out breath, back to the center and over to the left. And then gently come back to the center. Just hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest, elevating the heart area upwards, drawing your shoulders down. Take a deep inhalation, and then with the exhalation, turn all the way to the right, drawing your abdomen across, and your ribs and your shoulders. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. And then come back to the center. Take a deep inhalation, and then with an exhalation, turn to the left. And then come back to the center, and then lift up into your chest. Just come off your lift and sit back on your heels and come into Adho Mukha Virasana. Just let the legs initially just sandwich themselves into the floor. Lift up into the chest and then come forward into Adho Mukha Virasana. Just stretching out the spine, drawing the tailbone down to the heels. Activating the arms, activating the palms, waking the body up with the stretch. Just come up onto your knees, turn your toes under, and then come up into top down. Breathing in and out through the nose if you can. stretching out the limbs, tightening the kneecaps, lifting the thighs, just finding your energy within the pose. And then step your feet forward, come up into a standing position. Just bring your feet hip width apart. Use the blocks for your hands to go into half uttanasana if you're protecting your back, or you can come forward, just having your arms on just on a windowsill or on a ledge or something like that. But everyone have your feet wide apart, whether you're doing full uttanasana or half uttanasana. Lift up into the chest, raise your arms, and then if you're doing doing full uttanasana, hook the thumbs into the crease of the elbows, wrap your fingers around your elbows and come forwards, hinging at the hips. Otherwise, come forwards with straight arms. And then come down and find the blocks for your hands. Or find your lift. So in Uttanasana, just allow the upper body to hang down, but keep the legs really firmly activated. In half Uttanasana, you're activating your legs in order to activate the spine. So in full Uttanasana, you're activating the legs to release in the spine. Just breathe into the pose. Activating your kneecaps and your thighs. Turning the fronts of the thighs really consciously inwards, which regardless of whether you're doing full or half. Turn the fronts of the thighs inwards so that the backs of the thighs broaden outwards and so that the seat bones lift. And then release your hands down to the floor. And then bring your hands into your hips, bend your knees on the way up if you need to, and then come up into dandasana. So have the inner edge of your feet together. And just stand in Tadasana, just find your balance. Listen to the sound of the breath. Activating the legs in the same way as you were in Uttanasana. Just breathing deeply, just filling the lungs with the vitality and energy of the universe that surrounds you. Bring your arms out nice and wide. Bring them in towards your chest, and then step or jump your feet apart for trikonasana. Turn your left toes in, your right leg and foot all the way out. And then activating the legs evenly, like we were doing on Friday. Come over and find the shin. Look up if you can. So we were finding the balance in the pose on Friday, moving into Ardha. But that came from turning action of the legs from the extension of the legs, from the even extension of the legs. So that in this pose it doesn't all feel like you're collapsing into your right leg. The left leg is consciously engaging itself evenly with the right leg. And then come back to the centre. Swap the feet around, turn the right toes in, the left leg and foot all the way out. And then just come over into trikonasana on the other side. Just looking up if you can, activating your legs, turning them outwards, activating the back leg. If the legs are firmly activated, then there's a clear path into the activation of the spine. And then come back to the centre, bring your feet parallel. And then just come back into Tadasana. Just observe that perhaps through trikonasana, through the poses we've done so far, maybe your sinuses feel a little clearer. I was really bunged up this morning. Now they feel clear. So just continue to take deep inhalations and exhalations. Turning the thighs inwards in Tadasana. Tucking the tailbone in. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Spread the toes of your left foot. Bring your right foot up right into the top of the thigh if you can. So if you need something to help you to balance, then have that nearby. And then lift up into the chest, activating that standing leg in Tadasana, turning the thigh inwards, the opposite of trikonasana. And then raise your arms up. Ideally have the palms facing each other, lifting up into the pose. And then release your arms. Bring the legs back into Tadasana. And if you can, just lift the other leg of your shorts up a bit, just so that your foot is pressing against skin, if you can. Lift up into the chest, spread the toes of the right foot, and then bring the left leg as high up into the thigh as you can. And then just find your balance. Get that standing leg to be in Tadasana. And then raise your arms over your head. So this is where I run out of ceiling height a little, so I have to slightly adapt what I'm doing, but palms facing each other ideally. The aim of the arms is to lift the body up. And then release. And then come back centre, just back into Tadasana. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Just observing how your body begins to respond positively to the practice, however reluctant it was at the start. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards your chest, and then step or jump your feet as wide apart as you can go. Turning the toes in for prasarita padottanasana. Tighten the kneecaps, lift up into the chest, and then hinge at the hips. Find the floor. Just feel how this pose just broadens and opens the backs of the legs. But in order to do that, you have to really activate the fronts of the legs. So lift the thigh all the way up to the top. Think about that action button that we've been talking about. Really press that top of the thigh as firmly into the back of the thigh as you can. If you turn the thighs inwards at the front, then at the back it will feel like they're broadening outwards, and that gives you space into your hips. Keep the head lifted. Look forwards, try and draw the chin forward so that you're concave in the shoulder blade region rather than letting it round. That's it. So keep hitting the legs back and then projecting the chin and the chest forwards. If you everyone just let your head drop. If you let your head drop to the floor, then notice what happens in your shoulders. Your shoulders start to round, and we want the opposite of that. We want to concave the shoulders. So everyone extend your chin away from your legs. That's it. So you start to concave in the shoulders, in the shoulder blade region. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. If you can, just bring the head down to the floor. If you can't reach the floor with your head, then put a block underneath your head. If you can, reach around the outsides of your ankles. So try not to put too much weight on your head. Keep the legs hitting back. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Really bringing the action of the legs back into play. Project the chin and the chest forwards again, lifting the head. Just come back to the halfway point. And then bring the palms down, and then just step or jump, hit your feet back together, and then come back into Tadasana, and then raise your arms for urdhva hastasana. Just looking forwards, feeling as though the body is lifting up and away out of the floor. And then gently release. And then come down onto your back and come into supta, baddha. Soles of the feet together, knees apart, and then allow the body to release into the floor. Just listen to the breath. Just allow the body to sink into the ground. Just focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate breaths. Push the heels consciously together. Press the heels together. Turn the tailbone in. Draw the abdomen towards the spine. Stretch your arms up to the ceiling, interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then elongate the arms along the floor. If there's any stiffness in your shoulders, then put some blocks underneath or a folded blanket underneath your hands. Just bring the body to life. Pressing the heels consciously together, lengthening into the arms, squeezing the outer elbows in towards each other. Consciously bringing energy into the pose. And then raising your arms, release the interlock of your fingers, and then rest your hands on your lower ribs. And then gently draw your knees together, pull your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just a gentle massage on the spine. And then rock yourself up into a seated position, and then just stretch your legs out in front. Have a belt where you can reach it. Have a couple of blocks where you can reach them. And then just stretch your legs out, just roll over and move the buttock flesh out to the side. So either sitting on a lift or just sitting directly on the floor. If you struggle to lift your spine, then sit on even just on a folded blanket. That will give you a little bit of a lift underneath your seat bones. So get your belt, and initially we're going to throw the belt around both feet, and then really push your feet firmly into the belt. Roll onto the front edge of the seat bones, activate your thighs, and then really lift up into the chest. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, spreading your toes, turning your shins inwards, turning your kneecaps inwards, lifting up into the chest. Just finding your balance this morning, just feeling how accessible the seat bones are for you. So if you feel that maybe there isn't as much activation in your spine as you could get, then put yourself on a lift. I'm going to go on a lift this morning. My body feels kind of reluctant to activate this morning, so this just gives me a little more lift. So it really makes a difference, even though it's just a folded blanket. So if you're struggling to lift, then sit yourself on a lift. So just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Okay, we're going to release so you're going to keep the belt around the right leg, just cross it over so that it kind of stays in place. And then you're going to bring your left foot in towards the inner groin of the straight leg. Now, especially if you're sitting on a lift, if this knee is floating up in the air, then you need to give it some support. So just put a block underneath the head of the knee. So just feel around the back, just make sure that when you brought this leg back, you haven't interrupted the hips, you haven't kind of disturbed the hips too much. So the hips still feel level behind you. And then just take your belt and then push the right foot firmly into the belt. Draw the abdomen across towards this straight leg. Activate this thigh like you're in tadasana, lifting the kneecap, turning the thigh inwards, lifting up into the chest. And then just a little bit at a time, come forwards. Just a little bit at a time. If you've got a bad back, then just stay at this first stage perhaps, or come forwards really cautiously. But when you do come forwards while you're lifting the abdomen upwards. You're drawing the abdomen towards the spine. If you can reach around the foot, then do. So as you come down, keep the leg rolling inwards so that the hips still feel evenly positioned. If you can reach around the foot, then do, and then just gently drive the body along the leg. Don't drop your head immediately. Keep the chest driving towards the foot. And then at the last moment, perhaps you find that the chest is in contact with the leg, and then just bring the head down. So janu sirsasana. Keeping the abdomen rotating towards that straight leg. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And then gently come back to the centre, and then come back into dandasana, just holding the belt around both feet, and then just reset. Just listen to the breath. And then just again bring the belt just around the left foot, bring the other leg, the right leg, out to the side, and then again support that knee with the block. If you need to, rotate this leg inwards, rotate this shin inwards, come back to the centre, extending up into the chest, lengthening from the hip and into the heel, lengthening up into the spine. And then just a little bit at a time, stay at the first stage of just lifting up into the chest if there's any back problems, or just gently come forwards, lifting the abdomen to the diaphragm as you come forwards. If you can reach around the feet, around the foot, then do. Keep that leg really firmly activated. So janu sirsasana, really good pose for the liver. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Keeping the head lifted initially. Keeping that leg rotating, and then eventually you can just start to bring the head lower, but only if the chest is in contact with the leg, only if it feels okay in your back. Okay, and then lift your head, just come back to the center, and then stretch your legs into the belt, lifting up into the chest, rotating both of the legs inwards. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, pulling on the belt, lifting up into the chest, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And then just bring the legs into swastikasana. So if you're on the lift, then stay on the lift. Just hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation in through the nose. And then turn to the right side, drawing your abdomen across, your ribs across, your shoulders across. And then come back to the center. Again, lift up into the chest. Take a deep inhalation, and again just turn to the left. And then gently come back to the center. Just come down onto your back, and we're just going to come into setubandha. So just come down onto your back, pull the feet in towards the seat bones, get the block, and then lift the seat bones up off the floor, come onto the tops of the shoulders, and then bring the block into the tailbone sacrum area. Just feel that the hips feel level and secure, that the sacrum, so the sacrum's just above the tailbone, so that kind of shield kind of shaped part of the back. So just let the sacrum sit on the lift. It's more comfortable than it looks. Bring your hands into the sides of the mat and try and turn the crease of the elbows out to face the walls to the side of you. And then either stay with bent knees, or if it feels okay in your back, just stretch out one leg along the floor, bring it back, stretch out the other leg along the floor, and if that feels like it's going to be okay for your back, then slide both of the legs away. Just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Feel how the front of the body gets a really good stretch, especially if you straighten your legs. It's really good for quietening the brain, for energizing the body, for activating the legs, Really good for flexibility of the spine. So just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, keeping the legs straight if you can. So if the legs are straight, try not to let the feet just fall apart like this. Activate the heels. Pull the toes towards your kneecaps and turn the fronts of the thighs inwards. So if it starts to feel uncomfortable in your back, then you can just bend your knees, just stay on the lift. Keep lifting the front chest, keep turning the arms all the way out. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. So setubandha really opens up the abdomen, especially with straight legs, brings energy into the abdominal region. Okay, bring your feet back to the block, and then just maybe even come up onto the toes. In order to do it, just lift the seat bones up off the block. Just remove the block out of the way, just adjust your shoulders, and then drive yourself down into the floor. Just pull your knees in towards your chest and have a little gentle rock from side to side. And then just roll yourself onto your right side for a moment. And then straighten out your top leg. And then come back up into cross legs. Just come back into cross legs. So in half padottanasana or just normal cross legs, using the lift underneath you if you need it. Underneath the seat bones, just hold onto your knees. Just lift up into the chest and draw your chin forwards to make contact with your chest. So Jalandhara Bandha. And then lift the anal sphincter up towards the diaphragm region for Mula Bandha. And then just engage with your breath. Fill the lungs from the bottom to the top. And empty your lungs from the top to the bottom. Just allowing the in-breath to fill the bottom of the lungs to the top, and allowing the energy of the in-breath to overflow into the arms and into the legs and into the chest. filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. And then just gently raise your head and allow your eyes to softly open. So we're going to finish in the restorative surfboard pose. So a little restorative pose to just refresh our energy. So if you've got something if you've got a little bolster underneath your shins, that's always useful. You'll need a block and possibly with a blanket over the top for your head, and just lay along the front of the bolster. Your head needs to be hanging off the edge, so your chin needs to feel free of the end of the bolster, so that kind of determines whereabouts you lay in terms of the pelvis. It depends on the length of your bolster. If you haven't got a bolster, just use cushions. Just have a blanket and the block for your head, and then rest your arms just down on the floor. Just feeling the back of the body just stretching out. And then just focus on your breath. So there's a back breathing technique that works really well with this pose. The first inhalation, you feel the center of the back out into the armpits. So the center of the shoulder blades and out into the armpits. And then a normal exhalation. And then the second breath, you breathe into the middle of the back and out into the side ribs around the diaphragm region. And a normal exhalation. And then the third inhalation, you breathe down into the lower back and out into the hips. And then a normal exhalation. So we cycle around those three areas: the top of the back, then the middle, then the bottom. Just allowing your breath to circulate around the upper back and then around the middle of the back and then the lower back, just concentrating on that back breathing technique. then bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Just push your hands into the floor. Just bring yourself back up into a kneeling position, just sitting back on your heels. Just observe the lightness of your energy. Just listening to the breath for a moment. And then just sit yourself in a good cross-leg position directly on your bolster. Just hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest and bring your hands into Namaste. Just close your eyes and focus on filling the lungs and emptying them. Bring in the energy of the breath down into the abdomen. Conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, however reluctant the body might have been to begin with. A good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists and the inversions bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to seek to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside, and then send some of that positive energy out into the world. Gently release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. Just bring the tip of the index fingers with the tip of the thumbs. Just a gesture of wisdom and peacefulness that we can carry into the rest of our day. And then when you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open. And the focus to softly come back. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you've really lifted your energy, you've given yourself some good positive action for your day. So thank you very much for joining me.